In the criminal justice system, the people,
Pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care.
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law. You're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
Well, it's all crazy, and we'll get to as much of it as we possibly can. But the QAnon Shaman, my friends. We had a story about him earlier this week. Remember, he wanted his headdress and his spear back. What's the latest from QAnon Shaman? It is an action figure.
Oh, no.
A toy maker from Argentina has created an action figure modeled after Jacob Anthony Chansley, the so-called QAnon Shaman. Now, it's not yet widely available, but it is being created, as I say, handmade in Argentina. And it sounds as though prototypes are going to be offered. We'll have to see if that toy does catch on. But it right now has a toy maker, and that's one of the things you need when you want to get a toy off the ground.
Maybe that's what I'll get you for your birthday.
You know something, Kim? I graciously accept it. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Maybe they'll do a whole series of January 6th criminal action figures.
That is...
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
I actually think that's a great idea. Because, you know, they have the choir, the J6 choir. They sing the national anthem, and they'll do whatever. They play it at Trump rallies and such. So why not also kind of develop a little crew of J6 S-disturbers, and QAnon Shaman can be one of them, and then some of the other people.
Nothing says America like glorifying violence, so why not?
Thank you. Thank you, Kim. Well said, and you have my vote. In Alameda County, Governor Newsom announcing a swiftly finalized agreement to allow California National Guard lawyers to prosecute crimes in Alameda County. The governor is saying they're not getting enough prosecutions done, Kim. And that's why the governor is saying, I'll give you National Guard lawyers to prosecute crimes in Alameda County. It's a memorandum of understanding between the National Guard and the California Department of Justice. It took only 2 weeks to finalize compared to the nearly 5-month attempt to formalize a similar agreement with the Alameda County District Attorney, Pamela Price. Again, it depends where you sit, but Newsom is saying, hey, this stuff's not happening fast enough in the East Bay, and East Bay communities need it to happen fast, so let's get it going. The lawsuit of those on board the doomed OceanGate sub will proceed. The family of a longtime explorer who was on board, you met him when many of the profiles of those who were going to be on the mission were sort of shared publicly. That longtime explorer knew that this submersible had troubled history, but didn't know the degree to which there was real question as to the suitability of this vessel, given how deep the dive was going to go. And so the family's saying that many of those details that exposed how this really wasn't a sub that was suited for this mission should have been exposed. And the troubled history of that submersible should have been shared. And because it wasn't shared, it leaves OceanGate, the submersible company, legally liable for the deaths on board that day. The lawsuit says because they dropped weights prior to the implosion, and that indicated that those on board knew that their dive to the deep was in trouble about 90 minutes after they hit the water. The exact cause of the failure may never be determined, experts agree. They say this is in the lawsuit. But the Titan's crew would have realized exactly what was happening. Common sense dictates that the crew were well aware that they were going to die before dying.
Well, that's really awful.
It's for that reason that there is a larger dollar amount assigned to that, because if the crew, those loved ones and sweet souls that lost their lives that day, were aware that they were in the process of dying, there is an add-on, if you want to think of it and just to speak of it in crude ways.
Like pain and suffering type of thing?
Thank you. That's exactly it. They want $50 million. It's Paul-Henri Najolet, and he was among the 5 people who died aboard that Titan last summer. Again, you may have remembered him. He's the French historian living in New York. He was the oldest member of the failed expedition. He was hired to deliver commentary to the 3 passengers who paid $250,000 each to be on board. It was his 37th Titanic dive. But again, the historian's family said, and aside from sort of a general sense that he had, the specific issues regarding the Titan's suitability for a dive like this, never shared. And he took this doomed trip and was essentially unaware of the troubled history of that Titan vessel. The SFPD now using drones. Their new drone fleet is a game changer, they say, in apprehending criminals. They have 6 new surveillance drones. They announced it just this week. Police officials showing footage shot by drones as they were used to make arrests in 2 auto burglary cases and to disperse a large crowd that was setting off fireworks in a residential neighborhood on the 4th of July. So the SFPD was kind of peacocking about the fact that they have a new drone division. And these are some of their success stories.
Thank goodness, because there's not enough officers to be at all these places. So now, you know, the few officers they do have can just put the drone up and see exactly where they need to go.
Right on. Drones have been a game changer for our police department, said Chief Bill Scott. Think about this, he said. We've been without air support for over 24 years, since the early 2000s, and our officers have now a tremendous technology at their fingertips that other law enforcement agencies regularly use. The drones, again, are one result of that Measure E prop that Mayor London Breed placed on the primary election ballot, and SF voters approved that, about 9 percentage points to the victory. So that changed the parameters for when officers can pursue fleeing suspects and allowed cops to deploy certain surveillance technologies without prior approval from the Board of Supervisors. It's a really big deal. Congratulations to the SFPD on getting that. And several people are injured after a man hides explosives under a toilet seat in various restrooms.
Ooh, it's a wild idea,
Well,
but it just might work.
I don't know what it works to do. I mean, 3 people injured in San Antonio, Texas. They used the bathrooms that had explosives hidden under the toilet seat. It happened last month at 2 car washes in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, man.
I mean, that's not cool.
Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
Yeah. They found the guy. There he is. He's facing a charge of arson with bodily injury. Paul Moses Alden booby-trapped the toilet seats with commercial fireworks that are designed to explode when pressure is applied. Security camera footage showed Alden entering and leaving the bathrooms, watching the bathrooms from the lobby, and then leaving after the explosions. A customer, an employee, and a child sustaining minor injuries after they sat down on these toilet seats. Employees told cops that they identified Alden because he's a regular customer who actually has a membership card there. He was arrested and is out on $50,000 bond. Again, it happened at 2 car washes in San Antonio. I mean, What kind of craziness is that?
Who would do that? Yikes.
That is law and disorder.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.